like to ask you, you are just showing a video here in opposing of the Channel 4. This question goes to Rajiva. Could you please explain to us, you're showing a video to West, opposing to Channel 4, and why don't you allow independent international inquiry into Sri Lanka, because the Western world wants to do that. But you're simply just showing a video up here and you're just telling the truth or whatever. But I just wanted to find out, why don't you allow international independent inquiry into Sri Lanka? And please don't tell me the LLRC is going to look after, because if the LLRC is going to be right, you wouldn't be here at all, because you don't have to show these videos up here. But could you please explain to us? Thank you.
No, I think that's a very interesting question based on a premise that I find obnoxious. The Western world wants an international inquiry, so why don't you have it? I'm really able to understand why Sri Lanka should do what the Western world wants, unless it thinks it's right. Now, the reason that we do not think what you describe as an independent international inquiry is important is that we have already had evidence of what so-called independence is about. You know, the word independence is bandied about nothing. This world is independent. Siobhain McDonagh, according to this perfect correct, she's probably independent of Channel 4 in her own mind. Channel 4 is independent of her. We don't think we're independent, but everyone's dependent on someone else. What we have said from the very start is that if prima facie evidence is brought before us of any form of crime, we will have an investigation. We have looked into what the Ralston, when I say we, I don't speak for the government on this because I'm not a member of the executive, and I can show you that looking on a prima facie basis on what they say and comparing it with the documentation we have, there is no prima facie case all with regard to killing of civilians, with regard to shelling hospitals, with regard to starving the population and depriving them of medical supplies, with regard to rape and sexual abuse. However, I argue that with regard to certain incidents, and I mentioned it here, the Serenis, the white flag case, there should be further inquiry. I make that point. However, with regard to the Channel 4 incident, and I couldn't quite get your question, but I think you were suggesting, and I think this is interesting, that the Times now tells us that the more serious part of the Channel 4 is the so-called treatment of Serenis in torture.
Sorry? And
torture. You mentioned what torture.
The most damning parts, the most damning substantiation, certainly most emotive parts of the film, were the executions caught on camera and the apparent torture of the LTTE. I was merely clarifying.
No point. So, essentially, your initial question, and I think we have a tape of it, suggests that that's the meat of the video. Perhaps that wasn't what you said, listen to the video. But essentially, I think the treatment of Serenis, I mentioned the white flag case, requires more inquiry. In fact, I've written about this, the book is here. On the torture, it was quite interesting. When I was in Australia, they showed me pictures which they said they got very sensational. I arrived at 6 in the morning. And they said, we've got pictures on ABC that we want to show. And will you comment on them? I was half asleep, but I said, I'll try. And they said, 10 minutes. They filled me for 45 minutes. I looked at the pictures. It was very interesting. I think this is a technique that some journalists use, but of course I think the Times doesn't behave quite as badly. 3 sets of photos. One was Sri Lankan soldiers, it seemed, with some dead bodies. And I said, I think this could be Sri Lankan soldiers. I don't think they're doing anything. They're dead bodies. There's another picture of a boy hung by the neck, which I found pretty horrifying. I said, that is awful, but there's nothing connecting him with anything. But the third was pictures of torture, the same thing that appeared on Channel 4. And I said, it is pretty horrifying. But I told them on the radio interview, TV interview it was, I said, if you look at the people in uniform, there are a whole heap of soldiers. There are a couple of them wearing barber slippers. I don't no Srinath's answers about the slippers. All that was omitted. All that was omitted in the interview. My suspicion is what they thought I would say all of this was. Okay? And then the first set of pictures were in fact Srinath soldiers with the dead body. But isn't these the techniques? You juxtapose several things, some of which could be true for all we know, but some of which is very damning, absolutely false. And if you take the Channel 4 video, we were told, I don't know whether this lady was responsible for the first video, but we were told this was an incident that happened on January 18th, and we should investigate it. And then we did some metadata and said, well, actually the metadata says July 17th. Then they produced another one, in which they showed dead bodies vanishing. When I looked at that, I thought it's very strange. The first scene has 18 dead bodies, the next has 40, the next has 4. Well, it's very, very strange. Then that was sent to the UN to be looked at, sent by Channel 4. The first video was not sent by Channel 4. We asked Channel 4 for a video, they didn't give it to us. The UN asked Channel 4 for a video, Channel 4 did not give it to them, because they say in their documentation, we got this from an institute called Journalists for Democracy. Now, Channel 4 had said this was taken on the mobile phone and not edited, initially. The UN experts denied that, and that's on record. They said the reason for this strange discrepancy is that in fact the video shown by Channel 4 was edited and edited backwards. What was filmed first was shown third, what was filmed second was shown second, they got that right. And what was filmed third was shown first. The fifth episode said the UN experts. Whether correctly or not, I don't know, Channel 4 could probably tell them they're wrong. The fifth episode, one expert was saying was filmed at a different time, the other says was filmed in a different place. Now at the very least, the people who put this video together should say why they edited it backwards. You know
The
why?
video was not edited at all. It was saying all the time and it was authenticated.
I'm sorry.
It was authenticated.
But was it authenticated?
The Channel 4 has a certificate for that.
By who was it authenticated?
It's properly authenticated by the computer experts. You can tell them.
Which computer experts?
The Channel 4 has got it. They have actually shown it.
Which computer experts authenticated?
It has been authenticated.
It's all very close to say it was authenticated, whatever that means. But who authenticated? Let me go and
Ask Channel 4. They can provide
I'm asking you.
You have the able to provide that for you.
I shouldn't get upset, but anyone who makes a statement must tell you a reason for that statement. That's all I'm asking. If you say it was authenticated, you should be able to say who authenticated it. If you can't, what you're really saying is Channel 4 says it was authenticated. I believe Channel 4.
I didn't say that. We are saying that Channel 4 has been authenticated. If you ask them, they can able to give you.
Sorry, can I just read you what the UN high experts say? The first 4 segments were actually recorded in the following chronological order. The Branch Fredericks, who was hired by the Times initially. Segment 3, Segment 2, Segment 1, Segment 4. They say this editing was only they say, opening the commas, the type of rudimentary editing possible on a mobile phone. Now if Channel 4 wants to say, and I'm not going to start asking them, you ask them, that it was not edited, and if the UN experts say it was edited, may I suggest, young man, you go and read up all the documentation carefully and come and tell me whether you believe Channel 4 or the experts, or whether you like to get old experts to authenticate it. Okay? So the point I want to make is any prima facie case we will certainly look at, we have pledged to do that, but we are not going to engage in witch hunts, as also Lecter said. You do not, after a war, when you're moving towards peace, engage in witch hunts. Those 11,000 Carters, when we first took them, the people in charge said we are probably going to have to charge about 2,000 of them. Last month they said, at the most we are going to charge 500, because we know they did some terrible things, but they were forced to do it. We are not going to persecute them. I personally think that's the right approach to deal with those youngsters who were brutalized by the LTT. Thank you very much.